To the wire. It's like 2 days left to 2016, and some say that 2016 was the worst year ever. However, in 1665, everybody was dying of the Black Plague, so I don't know. I think it's all about relativity or whatever. Anyway, the Christmas tree's still up. It'll be up there till the New Year's. A nice fresh batch of about 6 inches of snow that I'm going to have to shovel after. And to show you that I recycle, for Christmas, we use happy birthday bags. Yeah, there we go. All right, so where do I start out? I got lots and lots and lots. Not only is this check out my hat. There you go. The YouTube channel really awesome because I'm on it. But I got lots of information here. And I don't know, where am I going to start with this? Okay. All right, so the Russians are going to be sending battalions to Aleppo. So much going on in Aleppo right now. Like it is really. On the world's eye right now. It's really unbelievable what's going on there. So they're going to be sending in some Spetsnaz and Chechens and stuff like that for that last kind of little cleanup. I believe that takes place on the 23rd of next month. Or, sorry, no, they did it the 23rd of this month. Sorry, my bad there. You have an Air Force general in the States calling for 30,000 troops ASAP for troops. You have to understand, recruitment for the U.S. military is at an all-time low because, well, it's a geopolitical military. The gays in the military, most people were probably able to deal with that. But when it comes to the transgenders in the military, it's like, I think that's, scares a lot of people away. So I think that's done on purpose so that they could bring in the United Nations military. But, I don't think that's going to work either. The typical recruitment is 350,000 for the Air Force, and they're down by 30,000. So they want another 30,000. But it's still, that's, if you add up the Canadian military, everybody in, you're talking maybe 35,000 people, that type of thing. So, like anything, the United States does need to cut its military budget. It's just too big. The easiest way is to stop the wars and stop the regime changes and stuff like that. Close some of those 700 bases that they don't, they really don't need all that. That's, where their shortage, they're spread too thin for what they're trying to do. But if you're trying to police the world, that's what happens, right? So you just can't, the world's too big. So the draft, remember we were talking about the draft for the women? Well, it looks like they've taken it off the table. I guess enough women were saying, we're not going to go fight. No. It's too much backlash. Now, mind you, that bill was brought in at first more of a kind of like, you were going to show some, some of these feminists some real equality. And I don't think they were expecting it to pass, but it passed. And then now it's quick how quick they can reverse things when they want to, right? But everything else, it'll take years of processes and committees and stuff like that. Yeah. So anyway, that's what's going on there. Mass graves discovered in Aleppo, surprise, surprise. People beheaded, people killed, shot, ran over by steamrollers, whatever. I don't know about the steamroller part, but you get the idea. Brutality at its finest. Yeah, so that's what's going on there. Now, that said, Israel is also in the news big time right now because of the UN vote. Israel blames Obama for the UN veto. They want to build 618 apartments across the Green Line. So I guess that's where it divides in the West Bank. And the United Nations, and I think even Saudi Arabia I think everybody kind of threw Israel under the bus on that one, for the most part. Others stuck by it. But again, Israel it's like, somebody asked me about Alex Jones the other night about, oh boy, he's really trumpeting for Israel. I don't watch Alex Jones that much. I watch him from time to time. I usually scan his channel every day, but lately it's like, it's just, the same thing over and over again. So I usually don't, okay, I know what he's going to say about it, so it's like I don't even have to really watch it. But some of the guests he gets, I really like. And yes, Alex Jones has always been pro-Israel. I don't remember him ever not being pro-Israel. I do believe he's semi-objective, but here's the thing, and I get this from a lot of my American viewers, is that, because of the biblical thing, they can't be objective towards Israel. Israel says we have to go to war, we're going to go to war. You know, like there's no. We have to support Israel no matter what they do, and that's a big part of the problem. Now, the Israeli government, the Zionist government, there understands this very well. They know how to play the people. Like, well, we'll just guilt them into doing it. You know what I mean? If they don't do this, they're anti-Semites. They're going to go to hell. Whatever. They know what cards to play to get the American people to go along with. That said, the people who look at Israel objectively understand that no, we need to. If you want to see the Middle East calm down, you have to not back the biblical Israel is not the Israeli government. You need to understand that. And I've said it time and time. You know, if a country attacks Israel, I'm all for Israel. Defending itself. I'm that way for any country. I think any country has the right to defend itself. That said, if they want to do preemptive strikes on their neighbors and then blow the shitballs at, send Apache helicopters into the West Bank every time they want to kill one guy, and they kill like 30, 50, 60, 100 people with these, drone and helicopter attacks and whatever, and then freak out when Hezbollah fires rockets at them, or suicide bombers. Well, I mean, they have to work that out themselves, and the best way to get Israel to play well in the sandbox is defund them. If they really are in a pinch, they're going to have to work together on resolutions, actual true peace resolutions. Now, a two-state solution, will it ever work in Israel? I don't know, but again, is that really our problem? Again, I understand the biblical people because, I get that part. I totally get that part. But the way I look at it is all wars are bankers' wars. All wars are U.S. foreign policy on behalf of Israel. That's why the wars are in the Middle East and not in the Congo and not in as much. That's why Africa gets a free pass for the most part, is because Israel's there. If Israel was in Eritrea, for example, if that was where they were, the fighting would be all around there. I'm not saying there's no fighting in Africa. Obviously there is, but you get the idea of what I'm saying. That it's a part of the greater Israel project. And I heard somebody talking about it the other night. This settlement thing is about the Greater Israel Project. So in other words, what they're saying is, oh my God, the United States backstabbed us because they won't allow us to bulldoze other people's homes so we could put up, you know what I mean? Like it's like what's the saying about Israel? It lashes out in pain as it strikes you, right? So you have that going on. I mean, anybody looking at, if you're sitting in your home and there's a border there, and all of a sudden bulldozers come in and take away your home. Yeah, there's going to be, again, and I'm not on the Palestinian side either, because they got suicide bomber kids, that type of thing. So the way I look at it, it's really, I take a more of a non-interventionist look at it, saying let them sort it out themselves. When they get tired of killing each other, they'll stop. But if you enable one or the other, they will not stop. That's just the way the Middle East is. People are going to die no matter which way you go. The best way is to let it just burn itself out. It sounds a bit cruel, but it's more humane in the long run. You don't give money to Israel. They have to play well with others. If they don't have complete superiority in that area, that's fine. If you want to help them, say, okay, well, if somebody actually attacks you, we'll come and defend you. That's up to that's up to the country. But what I'm saying is, when the Samson option says yes, the Israelis are willing to have Americans or anybody die at a rate of 35 or 33 to 1 to defend Israel on their behalf, I think you need to start, if we got skin in the game, well, we got to question it. And to me, there's no reason why Canada should be involved with Israel at all. But because you have dual citizens running governments in the States, you have dual citizens running governments in Canada and throughout Europe, of course, their main interest is Israel. It's not the countries that they run. That's why I'm against dual citizenship, dual citizens running in high levels of government. Because again, it's like, where do your loyalties really lie? But anyway, yeah, so that's going on. That's my take on it. Alex Jones, yeah, I think he's been pro-Israel right from the day. I wouldn't call him a Zionist by any stretch of the imagination. But Donald Trump, I think what Donald Trump's going to do is I think it's more of a jab in the eye of Obama than it'll be supporting Israel. But we know Trump supports Israel, so I don't think, that's where I do have concern with Trump, is that, concerning Iran, is that, I think Israel could probably easily dupe Trump into going to war with Iran, that type of thing, because that is the goal at the end of the day. That's the country, they wanted Syria to fall, but trust me, they really want Iran to fall, because that's the country that can really actually take out Israel, which I don't think is going to work. And you're seeing so much backstabbing going on, especially with Turkey. 1 week they're anti-Russian, the next week they're in Russia's corner. It's just, and Saudi Arabia, they don't know what to do either. I mean, again, these countries like the Saudi royals, they have no friends. They have no friends. They're only the people are only as loyal to them as they pay. That's all they got. So when it comes to Russia and China, I think they still have. I think they're at the end of the day they get the Middle East. The U.S. petrodollar is done for no matter which way we go. There's pain no matter which way we go. Even if we did the right thing, it's still going to be painful, which is let the dollar collapse and put these banksters in jail. Most of them deserve to be in a firing squad for the evils that they've committed, that type of thing. I mean, at the end of the day, I was watching History Channel and they were talking about, ISIS and stuff like that and al-Baghdadi and all that. And never once do they show John Kerry out there with pictures with him with al-Baghdadi, saying, oh, these are my good friends. They never show that stuff. And when you see all these lone wolf attacks that they talk about, now I know some people say, oh, they're false flags or whatever. Okay, they're like, they watched one video and they got brainwashed. No, you took a person that has a radical ideology. I'm not saying all Muslims are terrorists, but there's a lot of Muslims that are terrorists. You just can't kind of get around that. So they found a willing participant that was mentally unstable, and they coaxed them into doing a terrorist attack. That's a possibility. But that said, there's also blowback. I know there's some people that every attack is a false flag, just to get more laws come in. Well, there could be a little bit of column A, column B here, because it's like, okay, well, if we create enough blowback, we'll get the justifications for, taking away the rights and freedoms and having police running around on your streets because of terrorists, a possibility of a terrorist attack like in France or in Germany. Like that's not how people lived 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't crazy like that 10 years ago. But after 9/11, George Bush, why is the man still walking free? Tony Blair. I mean, Tony Blair is talking about running in politics again. How? How can this man be walking free? They lied. 1.5 million people died in Iraq because of their lie. And yet, oops, my bad. No, there has to be accountability at some point. And there will be. There will be. And the question is does it come in through rule of law or through military coup? That's really, or revolution. That's because the world is ripe for revolution. I think 2017, when I make my 2017 prediction, I almost don't, there's going to be stuff we've never even thought of, seen before. 2016 has got to be one of the most bizarre years that I never seen anything like this in my life. But it's a good thing. It's a good thing in a way because so much was exposed in 2016. I thought in 2011 there was a big, huge wake up, but 2016, Trump win. Even if Trump is on the other really truly just controlled opposition or whatever, I know some people, again, until he gets inaugurated, really we don't know what Trump is. It's, okay, he comes out, everything Israel asks him to do, he does, okay, then we've been had. They have to throw a few bones. I remember Joe Skousen talking about this, that they were going to give you a Republican in the next election no matter what, so... that said, I think what they did is, okay, we're going to take Trump anyway, but we're going to throw Hillary Clinton, but we can't tell the Clintons that we're throwing them on. Again, these people will eat their own. There's no loyalty amongst these type of psychopaths, right? But we'll have to wait and see. Trump, we can only judge him by his actions. Yes, he's surrounding himself with all the Zionist bankers and everything. So trust is a big issue with Trump. But again, when you look at, say, Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgan, the Federal Reserve, all these things, and, the Israeli lobby and stuff like that, you have something like 1,200 rabbis calling for more mass immigration in the States. You've got 1,400 Zionist factions calling for mass immigration for everywhere but Israel. Stuff like that. Okay, you got to point that stuff out. You have to. The fact that, you even see it, for example, Rebel Media. I like Rebel Media a lot. But they take you 90% or 95%. Same with Alex Jones. But they never name the problem of the Zionist Jews that are up at the top orchestrating all this. There's a pattern there. If we could find these patterns with Muslim terrorists, we have to look at the Jewish Zionists or whatever you want to call them. They're there. They're there. They're there. They're there. So you can yell anti-Semite, racist, bigot all you want, but at the end of the day, can you prove me wrong? No. We know every time there's a war coming out, every time there's a terrorist or a new law that takes, anti-terrorism law, it's a Stein or a Berg that brought it in. Every time there's a new gender parity law coming in, Stein or Berg that brought it in. Every time mass immigration opens the doors just a little bit wider, Steins and Bergs. Every time, you know what I mean? It's there. So I call out everybody, That's what you get with this channel. So I know there's a lot of people out there pro-Israel or whatever, and I'm okay with that. If you're open about it, I don't care. But the thing is we're dealing with very sneaky people. And when it comes to what's going on in Israel, again, they're not saints. The Israeli government, I'm not blaming the Israeli people. I'm blaming the governments, because it's their governments that get things done. Same with the United States. I'm not blaming the people. I'm blaming the government. Same here in Canada. I'm blaming the government. I'm not saying there isn't willing participants within the citizenry. But what I'm saying is, to make these things happen, it's people at the top who always end up usually being a Steenstein or a Berg. So if you call that anti-Semite, fine, whatever. I just say observation tells me there's a bit of a pattern here. So that said, when it comes to Israel, we really have to be neutral on it. And if we were actually truly neutral on it, we could stop a lot of this madness. But we'll have to wait and see. I think it happens one way or the other. That type of thing. Now, as far as George Soros and Henry Kissinger and I guess Zbigniew Brzezinski and the Rothschilds, Rockefellers trying to overthrow Israel, I don't know about that because, remember, at the end of the day, it's the Rockefellers who, through the clerically planned, not clerically planned, the one that brought, clerically planned, wasn't it? That brought in Israel in 1948, right? So now if you go back thousands of years, well, the Israelis were there first. No, okay, chicken and the egg thing. That argument, that's what they've been fighting in the Middle East for, forever on that. We do it for time. All right, so anyway, I got to move this along. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Erdogan said U.S. supports ISIS. Now, this is coming from a guy who was making money off of ISIS, bringing oil back and forth from Syria, and his son actually. Erdogan is that guy is mentally unstable. Like this guy, man. So yeah, you have Erdogan out there basically, talking about a new caliphate from Turkey all the way up to China, all Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan. All the way up to the border of Russia, and then all of Europe, all of Southern Europe, and talking about caliphates. He's talking about, we're going to do stuff with Russia. We're not going to do stuff with it. Again, pick the week. Like this guy's like bipolar or something. He's so inconsistent. But right now he's on the bash, and he's out there saying yes. Well, we have proof that the United States supported ISIS. Now I think there's a lot of. I mean, it's there's no honor among thieves here. I mean, it's you have a big meeting that's going on between Egypt, Turkey, Russia, Iran, and Iraq, and I think that's it, excluding the United States from these peace talks, because it's always the rebels that break the peace talks. Basically, the gist of it is it's not a done deal yet, but the gist of it is basically there will be a ceasefire for Aleppo, but if you do this, and this, we're going to attack you as if we don't care what group you're with. We're not going to separate moderate rebels from if you attack, or do this or whatever, we will attack you. So that's the ceasefire. Now the Iraqis, as soon as they stop working with the United States, they make tons of headway. So there's, again, it's showing. And then of course we have had all these, like I say, I think what the main thing the United States was trying to do, and the Israelis were trying to do was, to bash Russia on killing the moderate rebels, you're killing our guys. Well, our guys is probably not these ragtag jihadists that they pick up throughout the Middle East and the mercenaries. What I think it is the intelligence guys that were guiding these guys. Think about again ISIS, the luckiest terrorist organization in history. They get 70 some odd Abrams tanks, 150 artillery guns, 2,300 Humvees, and I forget how many Toyotas and whatever, thousands and thousands of anti-tank missiles, thousands and thousands of munitions being accidentally dropped to them, like 15 or some odd times that's known, a few times caught on camera. Thousands and thousands of, heads up, okay, the United States is going to be bombing you in 6 weeks' time, we're going to be bombing this area. Oh, there's nobody there when they bomb. It's bombing empty buildings, you know what I mean? That type of thing. The pilots just have to sit there waiting for, on the runway, waiting there with the engines, just burning up the fuel, before they can go. And many U.S. pilots have complained about this. So like, we're sitting there with our bombs ready to go. We know where the guys are, but we're waiting for clearance to go. And then by the time we get the clearance to go, we got to refuel again. And then by the time we refuel, we go, there's nobody there to bomb. So yeah, giving the heads up, again, the luckiest terrorist organization. And now that Obama's basically passed that bill allowing, man-pad launchers, basically to shoot down helicopters, airliners, whatever. Again, this is the last desperate attempt, and with the instructions, really target Su-34s, which are, like the replacement for the Su-24. Basically a fighter bomber kind of aircraft, very advanced for what the Russians have, and they really want those things targeted. That type of thing. But I think Syria, I mean, the battle isn't over yet. I mean, we've got lots to cover here, and you'll see what I mean. But, Aleppo, I don't think is ever going to fall back into the hands of the rebels. It could. But at this stage of the game, I think Trump, if Trump really wanted to end this, all he has to do is say, okay, well, the thousands of troops that we have stationed in Iraq, okay, let's actually go after the ISIS guys. Or just let the Iraqis take care of it. You know what I mean? Because they can. The big one is just stop arming the rebel groups. They'll run out of ammunition in a few weeks. This is the thing that people never realize. How do you get a bunch of ragtag mercenary, most of them probably come from farms and whatever, living in caves, poorer than dirt. How do you get them? Even if he's got a rusted out AK, how does this guy afford the ammunition? They can't. These, so the funding has to come in from somewhere. We know a lot of it comes in from Saudi Arabia. We know a lot of the training came in from Jordan and Saudi Arabia and stuff like that. We know there's about 60,000 fighters, 65,000 fighters. The numbers bounce around. So they find people that are desperate, say, hey, take up the cause against the Syrian government. You'll have your caliphate. Away you go. They'll get that. Other ones, hey, just want to make some money. And the other ones, okay, well, they're actual Mossad agents. And again, this is also reported by, Mossad agents who say, yeah, no, we created ISIS. It's for the Greater Israel Project at the end of the day. If you looked at what the Greater Israel Project was, how it wanted to balkanize the Middle East, and then all of a sudden, bang, here we go, everything that they were talking about back then, you're starting to see now. So these are long-term plans. They're not coincidental. They're not coincidental. It's like the Clergley plan in Europe, where, to basically make the new man. Like we're going to blend away all the Europeans and we're going to make a new man. Some sort of an African hodgepodge. That type of thing. Oh well, maybe was it a really plan, or has it just happened that everything's working out? That it looks like it's being carried out. Again. You can debate that all day, but at the end of the day, we know what we're looking at. Okay, so so Obama okayed man-pads. I don't know what the name of the bill under the NDAA, which comes around every time this thing comes around. It's like it's just worse and worse and worse. It's always about taking away rights and freedoms or supporting terrorists and stuff like that. A bunch of trucks coming up the road. So supporting a bill to be able to basically. Give man-pad launchers to the ISIS, moderate rebels, ISIS guys. All right, so the other thing is a new poll come out. 37% of Republicans approve of Putin. Interesting. James Hatfield, the Metallica, moving from California. I thought I'd bring this in. I know it has nothing to do with World War III, but it just shows you the sentiment of the country. Where he's moving from San Francisco, where he's lived for 30 years, because of the progressivism there, and it's just like you can't have a different set of ideology, or just like that type of thing, and it just shows you how divided the country is. So the Syrian government, they're going to use them. They're regrouping right now. I mean, the Battle of Aleppo really taxed them, manpower wise, vehicle wise. I mean, everything's going to be like every tank they have is going to be needing repair, that type of thing. There's going to be a lot of okay, well, we got to regroup, retrain, come up with a new plan. They're going to be taking the Palmyra area. Now, the thing about Palmyra is that it's booby-trapped beyond belief. So there's really nothing there, but they want to save the history. Assad has said this many times. We want to save the ancient cities, that stuff. Again, how much of this stuff has disappeared in history just because of conflicts like this? This is why we can't trace our lineage as a direct line back to where we really came from and stuff like that, because this stuff, keeps getting taken out by wars. But these wars are different because they're actually blowing stuff up, But they're going to get 10,000 guys together. They're going to take that area, and Assad said this, fighting them on the outskirts will be nothing. I mean, you'll be an open area. Okay, well, there's a small town there of 8 buildings. Okay, just level the buildings. Whatever's in the buildings, just level the buildings. We're not going to sit there and duke it out with these guys for 3 days. Just blow them up. They're easy buildings to remake. It's the cities that they wanted. But it'll be nice to see. What I would like to see is the actual Syrian people able to go back to their homeland. I'm not very fond of these Syrian refugees of men of fighting age coming in, and most of them aren't Syrian anyway. These northern Africans going into Europe and stuff like that to destroy. That's going to be a new battle all to itself. But the actual Syrian people, which yes, ideologically I might not agree with their way of life and stuff like that, because there is problems with them too. Not integrating and stuff like that. But on the other hand, doesn't mean I want to kill these people. I don't want to see these people wiped off the face of the earth or anything like that. I say the same thing about even the Israeli people. I don't want to see people, I don't like seeing people killing each other for the sake of killing each other. What I'm saying is, okay, I'm going to be critical about you so that, people start thinking the right way, so that, okay, if we can't get along, hate each other in peace. At least work towards that. But when it comes to the Syrians, yes, I would love to see these people return to their homeland. And I believe if they could take Palmyra, they got Aleppo. Once Aleppo, Aleppo at this point, what, you just bulldoze it and start over again? What's fixable in Aleppo? I don't know. But obviously they don't have the same building standards as we do, so they'll just patch it however, they'll fix it however they're going to fix it. That's up to them. But this offensive is not going to start till probably sometime in 2017. They got to get the 10,000. They got the 10,000 guys. That's no problem. But to get the plan, how are we going to go at this so that we're going to surround them, so cut off all their exits. We're just going to wipe them out. How? With the least amount of casualties to us. But with all the people going in there, who knows? We talked about how Turkey blames U.S. for supporting ISIS. Oh, Putin sends a Christmas card or a Christmas gift to Trump. It's like some sort of a Christmas card. Putin, the Putin-Trump connections. Yeah, I know. If you burnt your toast this morning, the Russians did it. Don't ever forget that. According to the mainstream media. Like the other day, okay, it snowed. It was a secret Russian weapon made it snow here. It's true. True. Yeah. That didn't come from the fake news. That's But anyway, yeah. So Putin is signaling to Trump, but he is going to test. China and Putin have already did a light. We'll call it test light. First test for Trump is what's Trump's. Putin says something about our nuclear forces. Could take anybody kind of thing. Trump responds. With Twitter. Yeah, well, nuclear weapons. These things shouldn't be on our planet. But if we're going to have them, we're going to have the best ones. So it's like, okay, this is Putin feeling out where Trump's going to go. How far can you push this man? I think Putin knows he can't push Trump too far because Trump is fairly sporadic. Things to consider about Trump. Yes, he's a smart man. Yes, he knows how to wrap himself around or surround himself around really smart people to get the job done the way he wants. That's why he's a billionaire. He's not a stupid man that way. But he doesn't read books. But you can say the same about me. I don't really read books. I follow other things, but so you take that one agree. So he gets most of his information from the mainstream media. So that said, that what's perceived anyway. So that can be kind of dangerous too, especially when the Israeli lobby pretty much controls a lot of the mainstream. Although there is fighting amongst the factions, whether you want to call them Illuminati, New World Order, Freemasons, whatever. Like some of these people, like these world elites, whatever, just really corrupt individuals, cartels, oligarchs, whatever you want to refer to them as. These are people that don't have humanity's interest in the best of heart. And remember, I've always talked about that bloody chair up at the top that everybody wants to sit in, and that they'll cut each other's throats to do this. So this is why I see, you kind of see Zionist versus Zionist kind of going on with the Israel thing. I don't know what's going on. Again, these people eat their own young. They're completely insane. China is now testing Trump a bit too. They put one of their aircraft carriers through a strait of area in the South China Sea that Taiwan is claimed that it's territory. And there's I don't know how many territorial claims over these waters, and these territorial claims go back 300 years. So it's to make a big thing about it. Oh well, we can't let China just do that. It's like the major shipping lane and stuff. You can't, again, it's like if Mexico, was putting warships off the coast of Europe, the American, of course you'd be, what are they doing there? Well, the Chinese are doing the same thing. You have no reason to be here. The U.S. has no reason to be there. But that's basically, I do think Trump is going to be tough on China in a lot of ways. Yeah, so it's kind of one of those things that, yeah, the Chinese are going to probe to see what Trump's reactions will be. I don't think they're going to probe too hard. I think we're going to see a de-escalation probably in 2017, hopefully under Trump. I think we'll see a de-escalation over, the weeks, but then there'll be like some big flare-up. Okay, it's like all of a sudden, okay, you'll get, instead of a record-breaking of Tu-95 Bears buzzing Alaska and the Canadian Arctic and stuff like that, and whatever. Instead of getting that like twice, 3 times a week or whatever, Russian bombers here, Russian bombers there, you'll probably still see that with Europe because the Russians are going to provoke NATO. But what you'll probably see is like nothing. One, Tupolev Bears out in the air, and then they scramble 20 F-15s just to go meet it, and razz the shitballs out of the Bear bomber. I think that's the kind of thing we're going to see. So it'll be less of it, but more like what the hell is Trump doing? But I think that's going to be kind of using the Russians, playing the Russians at their own game, because the Russians, you do one thing, they 10 up it, so that they take it to a crazy level. Again, with Chinese, they do win big, lose big. If they win, they win the whole table. If they lose, they don't lose much. With the Russians, they win big, they lose big. But if they lose an arm. You know what I mean? Like they bring it to that level. So I think Trump is probably, the people he's surrounding himself are probably telling him, this is what they're going to do. This is what the Russians they're going to respond radically. So we have to be 10 times more radical than them. So that's going to scare the shit out of everybody. But that instability is also, again, if you're not like freaked out about all the stuff going on now, I don't know what to tell you. We've never seen this before in history, not even during the first Cold War. And the men during the first Cold War on all sides were much, much smarter than the impulsive idiots we have now. I'm not saying Trump is an impulsive idiot, but I think Trump is going to be, he's got to out Putin. So you do kind of have two kind of, I wouldn't say, well, you could say that they're both kind of strongman figures, okay? Where you got Putin on one side and you've got Trump on the other, and they both kind of playing the confident, strongman, got all the answers kind of guys. Whether you believe that or not is another thing. But that's the game. That's what they're personifying, right? So you get that. So Obama rollover, red line. The red line's turned to a pink line, and it keeps moving, and it's got. Okay, we'll make way for this and this and this. So it's not even, it's a squiggle now, whatever. But don't worry, there's transgendered bathrooms there. So, yeah, that's what Obama's got going. So Putin obviously can walk all over top of him. Hillary Clinton would have worried me more because she's so crazy. Yeah, I mean, she wanted to do nuclear responses basically to email hackings. Pretty much a military response with Russia is a nuclear response. So, yeah, we'd say we dodged a bullet on that one. You can say you dodged a bullet on that one. But that said, I don't know about the Clintons. Like, some people are speculating that Trump gave the Clintons an out, and some of these other people an out. The Federal Reserve people and et cetera, and all these crazy people an out, saying, Trump's like, here, we'll give you an out. We're not going to come after you. The Clintons are good people. They were just running a good campaign or whatever. But Trump is going to have to, the way the other guy put it is, he's going to have to kill these people. Now metaphorically maybe, I don't know, maybe literally, who knows. But there's a lot going on, so you never know. I mean, watch for, particularly in 2017, watch for people dropping down. You're starting to see it now. You'll see what I mean in a moment, of people getting knocked off and whatever. Turkey, Russia, Iran talks. Yeah, I thought Egypt was in on that one. Without the U.S., we already covered that. Yeah, so Putin's out there saying Russia will respond to any further actions from the U.S. Because the U.S. just put out more sanctions on Russia over what, I'm not exactly sure, but it's just kind of like out of nowhere, here comes more sanctions. So at some point, the Russians, I mean, what the Russians are doing is they've ditched the U.S. dollar to a great degree. But they could still do other things in sanctions, saying, okay, well, if Europe puts sanctions on us, we cut off the gas. It is wintertime right now. The Russians have that upper hand. Say, okay, well, if you don't want to do business with us, fine, we'll take our business elsewhere. There's pipelines, we'll just send it all to... Now, the Russians can't do too much of that because they hurt themselves, or hurt their bottom line. But they can squeeze, like a week or two out of Europe, especially in the middle of January, be like, okay, well, the United States is putting sanctions on us again. We're going to have to respond with anybody that agreed with them. Well, okay, well then fine. If you don't want our business, we'll take our business elsewhere. Do that for a week, trust me. Cut the gas off for 3 days in January. Yeah, you'll have riots in the streets in Europe. So the Russians do have upper hands there, and would they do it? Yes, they would do it. Again, it's the idea is that. And the Russians will say, well, we have to do it because the Americans are doing this to us, and they're doing this to us. Again, all these sanctions on Russia for email hackings that have not been proven. And Obama's out there was saying, well, we can't show you the proof because whatever. Kind of a bit of a catch-22 there, don't you think? All right, NATO Auditor General shot dead. They say it's a suicide. The family says, no, it's not possible that it was a suicide. He was starting to get strange visits and phone calls, and he was basically, I guess, suicided. They always make a look at it. These are the things I'm saying watch out for. These are like, just before war, you see like Archduke Ferdinand's everywhere, you know what I mean? Assassinations everywhere, hits everywhere. And so it goes like that. 35 Russian diplomats and 2 compounds have been shut down in New York City and in Maryland. I don't know over what, but these apparently have to do with the sanctions. So that's 35 diplomats. And remember, there was 2 Russian diplomats killed, the one in Turkey, and another one that same day, I forget exactly where he was. He was in the States, I believe. That's like, what, the 3rd, 4th Russian diplomat killed, 2 of which were, I believe, in the States this year, which only got 2 more days left, or a day left, whatever. In Venezuela, the mess that's going on down there, the hyperinflation, it's 40,000 bolivars to the $1 US, something around that. So for every $1 US, it costs you 40,000 bolivars. An ounce of silver will buy you a couple of weeks or a couple of months worth of food down there right now. An ounce of silver. Again, I'm not a financial expert, but it gives you an idea. So that's the hyperinflation. I'm also hearing that, they've been eating their pets. They've been, eating everything, sticks and twigs, whatever they can find in Venezuela. And I've also heard there's starting to become, now I can't verify this, but in Venezuela, right now cannibalism is starting to show its head. Which, people lose everything, they lose it, right? But that gives you an idea of and you have to understand, like Venezuela is not like Canada, the United States, or European countries. A lot of those people were already poor. A lot of those people are already living off the land and stuff like that. It's just the cities can't feed themselves. And that's going to hold true to any place. But keep in mind that in North America, everybody's armed to the teeth, including here in Canada. Trust me, there's no shortage of armament here. Again, you can't go by what the CBC says. The CBC is really, there's another guy from the Clinton Foundation, Eric Braverman, missing for 6 days so far. So again, this guy was basically works for the Clinton Foundation. This guy has been missing for 6 days. Yeah. Dead men tell no tales. Under the NDAA, you might want to look at this, S2943, hopefully I got the number right, and HR 5181. And this is anti-fake news. Basically, Obama signed it, acknowledging that it goes against the Constitution, but this is basically the truth, like the truth, not Truth Squad, but like the truth, what do they call it again? Anyway, a Ministry of Truth. Like, how Orwellian does that not sound? The Ministry of Truth, right? But that's what that is. And that's basically going to be cracking down on fake news. So maybe in 2017 my channel will be no more. I don't know. I'll take it as far as I can take it. I'm going to have a plan B at some point. But here in Canada, we don't have those laws in yet. But whatever the States does, we're going to probably double up on. And under United Nations Agenda 2030, the hate speech laws are going to get me at some point anyway. So the question is, do they throw me in the gulags, find me, or shoot me? You know what I mean? Anyway. YPG withdrawing from Aleppo, so I guess it doesn't really matter because everybody else is going back in. And another document to look at from WikiLeaks, I haven't looked at it myself. It's document 1064875. That's 1064875, WikiLeaks document, showing 3 Republicans that were on the Clinton payroll. One of them being Jeb Bush, and the other two, lady and whatever. Again, the peace president Obama sending another 200 troops to Syria. So that's pretty much what I got there. So that was quite a bit. I don't know what to say about 2017 other than I do think we're going to see unpredictable things. That's about all I can say on the war front, because the Battle of Aleppo is done, but the war is still raging on there. And you have to understand that all the people that were in power before Trump are still in power now. And it's just like, okay, well, the same factions anyway. So it's just different people in those factions. So we have all the same Goldman Sachs bankers, all that type of thing. But the thing is what side are they really on? You never know, because there is so much fighting within the factions within. You see it in the FBI, you see it in the CIA, and the DHS and all that. There's basically, there's going to be a lot of spy stuff happening there. I do believe there is still going to be a coup carried out, not in the, soldiers marching on Washington, so to speak, but I think you're going to start to see a lot of deaths and accidents amongst these global elites pretty soon, because I think they're knocking off their competition there now. But at some point, people are going to see, again, the second wave hellhounds. Donald Trump's the first wave hellhound. We talked about them, call them spooks with a conscience, patriots, people trying to restore rule of law. Trump can only get where they let him. The thing about Trump, though, is he can point fingers at people very well. So when some Steinberg Zionist behind a curtain somewhere wants to bring out a policy, he can just say, well, that policy came from this guy. And then all of a sudden, bang, the cockroaches scramble when you put the light on them. So that's, I think, what Trump will be very useful for. As far as all the Republicans that are going to work against him, again, he just has to name them by name. And that's what they're not used to. That's the disinfectant that works fairly well. So that's how he can coup it. It's like, okay, well, when I can't pass a bill, here's all the names of all the people who went against my bill. That said, I do believe what they are setting Trump up for is... and a lot of people saying, Dow 20,000, we get the collapse. I say no collapse till war comes. I've been consistent on that. And I don't think Obama's been trying any harder. He's still got like a couple of weeks left to get a war going with Russia or China. The Russians and Chinese at this point, they'll just endure whatever the United States throws at them, or Israel, on behalf of the Greater Israel Project, throws at them. Is Russia in with Israel? I don't know. It's very hard to say because, again, it's one of those things. There's so many, we're talking about shady people. All the governments, they're all so corrupt. You don't know, like the Russian government's corrupt. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But, I mean, they are going after their own interest. So, would they throw Israel under the bus? I don't know. I don't know. I haven't really seen a extremely pro-Israel stance with Russia. I see a lukewarm kind of neutral kind of stance with Russia. The Chinese, I don't think they care one way about Israel one way or the other. But again, the Chinese go wherever the money goes or wherever all that stuff goes. But what I do think is going to happen in 2017, again, because we're seeing the collapsing of the universities with the social justice warriors, all that stuff, the rise of Trump, you've got a few elections coming down the pipe with France and with Germany. I think those two things will be very telling. If the AfD gets in Germany and Front National get in France, you could see a very, very drastically different end to 2017 of a lot of expilations of people leaving Europe. The reason being is that the nationalism will basically destroy the globalism. We could see the fall of the EU in 2017. But however, these people, they've had a 100-year-long plan. These are psychopaths. If they can't have it, nobody can. They will burn down Moscow just to, so that Napoleon doesn't get it, right? So that's the mindset of these globalists. If we can't have it, we make everybody suffer. But people are suffering enough now that they're not very far from being pushed over the edge. I do think Canada, the United States, is a longer way from a civil race war than Canada being the furthest away. I was listening to Black Pigeon speak saying that Canada and Sweden are irrecoverable from globalism and multiculturalism and all that stuff. I don't really agree with that because I'm seeing the CBC constantly talking about, and even Justin Trudeau talking about how we're unscathed by the anti-globalism sentiment. No, you're not. No, you're not. Hell no. People, trust me, I haven't met a single person that's a Canadian that is happy about these refugees coming here and giving them all this free stuff. Meanwhile, your grandmothers and grandfathers can't even find a bed in the retirement homes. You got, homeless vets. You got no running water on the native reserves. I think globalism is going to die everywhere. It's just, how bloody is it going to be? I mean, these people, their only goal right now is to get us into a war. That's the only thing that the U.S. central bankers can do. All wars are bankers' wars, and all wars are for Israel at the end of the day when it comes to the United States. It is what it is. You can track it. You can track it very easy. Follow the money, you figure it out. So for all those people that, will follow because Israel said so, they say jump, say how high, because the Bible says we have to support Israel no matter what. You have to be able to separate the Israeli government from the Israeli people or whatever. But if the Israeli people, are going along with their government, well, they're going to reap what they're going to sow. Now, you have to understand, there is, in these global elitists, some of them might, like, for example, with the Pizzagate and stuff like that, there's another one coming out, another ice cream gate. I haven't looked into it yet, but, is that disinformation, whatever it is, we don't know. It needs to be investigated. I do believe Pizzagate is real. I do believe that there's enough circumstantial evidence there to warrant a raised eyebrow. And again, if you're law enforcement or military, one example, there was a couple in the area. They went into Comet Ping Pong. They sat down. They had their meal. They said the food wasn't that great. Why? This guy is one of the most, popular or, powerful men in Washington that owns a little pizza shop. Well, they noticed, the atmosphere was kind of strange. The place was a little bit dead, but there was, and then a group of men walked in, older, kind of politician-y looking, kind of, nobody recognizable. They went into this, behind this curtain back room. Now this is what's alleged. They asked the waiter what's in the room. They said the bar. So they waited a little bit. They went in. No men to be found. The bar was there. The bartender said, "What are you doing back here?" So, "We're just coming to see the bar." I said, "The bar's closed." So where did those men go? You know what I mean? That type of thing. So I think, these type of things, if they don't raise an eyebrow, and again, the idea that people that are out there saying, no, it's not true. Well, we haven't proved that it's true, but nobody's offered any evidence that it's not true. You know what I mean? That's why it needs to be investigated, especially what it's about. I mean, we're talking child pedophile rings, but that kind of stuff. And these global elites, this is the kind of mindset they seem to be. Again, the same Steins and Bergs, George Soros, Henry Kissinger, Zbigniew Brzezinski, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Clintons, Obamas, Bushes, Blairs. They always show up at these things. They're always connected. So it shows you that this system, it's really probably not savable anyway, or reformable. It really has to go down. But the thing is does it go down on our terms or theirs? Now, if it goes down on their terms, we go to war. Now, the thing is if people reject the war, even if they draft, think about the brutality they would have to do to round people up going against the draft. I don't think they could pull a draft off, even with all the brainwashing. I only wonder, like, for example, this New Year's Eve, again, if you're a woman out there, be very careful in Europe, anywhere you're going, around these refugees. I mean, I'm watching video footage of refugees pushing cars down subways. I mean, these guys are like fucking gremlins. Sorry for the language, but I'm watching them, and nobody's bashed these bastards in the face yet. My God, they're just burning Christmas trees in the middle of, in front of that big church in Germany there, in Frankfurt or whatever. I think it's Frankfurt or Cologne. Where the big church in Cologne. They do that. They're pushing cars down subways, going down the stairs. It's kind of funny but terrifying. I'm it's again, it's like a scene out of Gremlins, only with refugees or economic migrants, whatever caliphate men, whatever they are. So that's going to come to a head. But the thing is everybody's noticing the people who are advocating for it. Some of them, yes, they are just brainwashed lefties and stuff like that. But I think that's going to die in 2017. It will polarize the countries much, much more. But then once people come to the realization it's us versus them, no matter what side they're on, conflict will ensue. Now, one thing I've been saying, and I'll just end up with this, one thing I will say is if you are a minority and you live in Europe, I've been saying from 3 to 5 years there's going to be a crusade. There is a crusade there now, but you're going to see the biggest culture clashes. I said that, yes, you'll probably see the rumblings of the clashes, like the first few small clashes in France and Germany because they're the most heavily affected. You might even see it in Sweden, but I think Sweden is the last to snap. I still stick by the biggest culture clash will be in the UK. It'll be probably just on the outskirts of London somewhere. Why? London has fallen. You've got a Muslim mayor there. You're now on your way to having a Sharia country. So that polarization is going to go more and more and more. And as the economy ails, people are going to be blaming each other. So like I said, if you're a minority and you don't want to get caught up in this, have a plan B to get out of Europe, because at some point you will not be able to get out of Europe. The people trying to get in now will not be able to leave. They will be executed. There will be ditches dug. You're going to be killed. Will that happen in the next 3 to 5 years? I don't know if it'll happen that within 10 years to 12 years, probably, within Europe. So that's why, again, I can't give you a better warning than that. The next thing I will say is that when you see this clash, at that point the governments will crack down on the indigenous people of their country. They already are. They're already coming out with laws. They're already, making it illegal to speak out, that type of thing. That's where they're at now. The next stage is full totalitarianism. Does that come in 2017 in full force? I don't know, but it will. The crackdown will come in. It is already coming in. It's already here. It's just how much more do they tighten the noose on it, which will create more populism and nationalism and whatever. Now, that said, the only way out of this is a war. The elites know this. They have to get us into war. The Russians and the Chinese, they'll endure anything until Trump gets in. But if Trump is not the real deal, then all bets are off, and the Russians and Chinese will ramp things up. I believe the Chinese will ramp things up even more than the Russians, because of, I think the relations between China and the United States are really, China will not be able to stay under the radar for very much longer. Russia might approve, but what they might do is try to do the opposite of what they were trying to do with China in the first place, was to play China off of Russia. But it backfired, because they're still collaborated. So now they're probably going to try to play Russia off of China, and it won't work, because they know in the long con, the Russians kind of, they're ahead of the game on this stuff. They kind of see it coming. So that is the options that are there. Is that when all else fails, the bankers, if they don't want to, they have to take us to war, because if they don't, they're going to try to. I think what they're going to do is collapse the economy on Trump. Make it look really good, and then right after his inauguration, a couple of months after, just start letting things go. But his Trump card is simple: let it go, and stuff like that. So he's already starting to bring back slight jobs or negotiate jobs coming back to states. But 5,000 a year, 10,000 a year, that's good and great and dandy. But you got 94 million people, 96 million people that have worked in the States. You got to bring back millions and millions of jobs. Millions and millions of jobs. So deregulation, he can get that stuff right away. That's where he has to go right away. He has to improve the economy. And when the economy starts going, he has to point the fingers at the bankers, and even including the ones he's appointing. So we're going to see, I think, insane stuff in 2017. 2017 is the year of the burn, because if the Rothschilds want a one world currency by 2018, they got to destroy the world in 2017, everywhere. So anyway, just hopefully they're not going to be successful. So if you like this kind of content, please consider making a donation to the channel. Links down below. Thank you so much to everybody who has. Next to that, rate, subscribe, share, comment, like. Be true to yourself, be true to others. Always do the right thing, and have yourselves a great day. Hey, hi, and welcome. So we're getting down to the wire. It's like 2 days left to 2016, and some say that 2016 was the worst year ever. However, in 1665, everybody was dying of the Black Plague, so I don't know. I think it's all about relativity or whatever. Anyway, the Christmas tree's still up. It'll be up there till the New Year's. A nice fresh batch of about 6 inches of snow that I'm going to have to shovel after. And to show you that I recycle, for Christmas, we use happy birthday bags. Yeah, there we go. All right, so where do I start? I got lots and lots and lots. Not only is this check out my hat. There you go. The YouTube channel really awesome because I'm on it. But I got lots of information here. And I don't know, where am I going to start with this? Okay. All right, so the Russians are going to be sending battalions to Aleppo. So much going on in Aleppo right now. Like it is really on the world's eye right now. It's really unbelievable what's going on there. So they're going to be sending in some Spetsnaz and Chechens and stuff like that for that last kind of little cleanup. I believe that takes place on the 23rd of next month. Or, sorry, no, they did it the 23rd of this month. Sorry, my bad there. You have an Air Force general in the States calling for 30,000 troops ASAP for the troops. You have to understand, recruitment for the U.S. military is at an all-time low because, well, it's a geopolitical military. The gays in the military, most people were probably able to deal with that. But when it comes to the transgenders in the military, it's like, I think that's, it scares a lot of people away. So I think that's done on purpose so that they could bring in the United Nations military. But, I don't think that's going to work either. The typical recruitment is 350,000 for the Air Force, and they're down by 30,000. So they want another 30,000. But it's still, that's, if you add up the Canadian military, everybody in, you're talking maybe 35,000 people, that type of thing. So, like anything, the United States does need to cut its military budget. It's just too big. The easiest way is to stop the wars and stop the regime changes and stuff like that. Close some of those 700 bases that they don't, they really don't need all that. That's, where their shortage, like they're spread too thin for what they're trying to do. But if you're trying to police the world, that's what happens, right? So you just can't, the world's too big. So the draft, remember we were talking about the draft for the women? Well, it looks like they've taken it off the table. I guess enough women were saying, oh, we're not going to go fight. No. It's too much backlash. Now, mind you, that bill was brought in at first more of a kind of like, you were going to show some, some of these feminists some real equality. And I don't think they were expecting it to pass, but it passed. And then now it's quick how quick they can reverse things when they want to, right? But everything else, it'll take years of processes and committees and stuff like that. Yeah. So anyway, that's what's going on there. Mass graves discovered in Aleppo, surprise, surprise. People beheaded, people killed, shot, ran over by steamrollers, whatever. I don't know about the steamroller part, but you get the idea. Brutality at its finest. Yeah, so that's what's going on there. Now, that said, Israel is also in the news big time right now because of the UN vote. Israel blames Obama for the UN veto. Yeah, they want to build 618 apartments across the Green Line. So I guess that's where it divides in the West Bank. And the United Nations, and I think even Saudi Arabia I think everybody kind of threw Israel under the bus on that one, for the most part. Others stuck by it. But again, Israel it's like, somebody asked me about Alex Jones the other night about, oh boy, he's really trumpeting for Israel. I don't watch Alex Jones that much. I watch him from time to time. I usually scan his channel every day, but lately it's like, it's just, the same thing over and over again. So I usually don't, okay, I know what he's going to say about it, so it's like I don't even have to really watch it. But some of the guests he gets, I really like. And yes, Alex Jones has always been pro-Israel. I don't remember him ever not being pro-Israel. I do believe he's semi-objective, but here's the thing, and I get this from a lot of my American viewers, is that, because of the biblical thing, they can't be objective towards Israel. Israel says we have to go to war, we're going to go to war. There's no. We have to support Israel no matter what they do, and that's a big part of the problem. Now, the Israeli government, the Zionist government, there understands this very well. They know how to play the people. Like, well, we'll just guilt them into doing it. You know what I mean? If they don't do this, they're anti-Semites. They're going to go to hell. Whatever. They know what cards to play to get the American people to go along with. That said, the people who look at Israel objectively understand that no, we need to. If you want to see the Middle East calm down, you have to. Not back. The biblical Israel is not the Israeli government. You need to understand that. And I've said it time and time. If a country attacks Israel, I'm all for Israel. Defending itself. I'm that way for any country. I think any country has the right to defend itself. That said, if they want to do preemptive strikes on their neighbors and then blow the shitballs at, send Apache helicopters into the West Bank every time they want to kill one guy, and they kill like 30, 50, 60, 100 people with these, drone and helicopter attacks and whatever, and then freak out when Hezbollah fires rockets at them, or suicide bombers. Well, they have to work that out themselves, and the best way to get Israel to play well in the sandbox is defund them. If they really are in a pinch, they're going to have to work together on resolutions, actual true peace resolutions. Now, a two-state solution, will it ever work in Israel? I don't know, but again, is that really our problem? Again, I understand the biblical people because, I get that part. I totally get that part. But the way I look at it is all wars are bankers' wars. All wars are U.S. foreign policy on behalf of Israel. That's why the wars are in the Middle East and not in the Congo and not in as much that's why Africa gets a free pass for the most part, is because Israel's there. If Israel was in Eritrea, for example, if that was where they were, the fighting would be all around there. I'm not saying there's no fighting in Africa. Obviously there is, but you get the idea of what I'm saying. That it's a part of the greater Israel project. And I heard somebody talking about it the other night. This settlement thing is about the Greater Israel Project. So in other words, what they're saying is, oh my God, the United States backstabbed us because they won't allow us to bulldoze other people's homes so we could put up, you know what I mean? Like it's like what's the saying about Israel? It lashes out in pain as it strikes you, right? So you have that going on. I mean, anybody looking at, if you're sitting in your home and there's a border there, and all of a sudden bulldozers come in and take away your home. Yeah, there's going to be, again, and I'm not on the Palestinian side either, because they got suicide bomber kids, that type of thing. So the way I look at it, it's really I take it more of a non-intervention.